Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today we are going to start putting all the heads on my 911 engine. Okay, so as you saw last week, I've checked to see that my valve clearance is all going to be good, so now it's time to take this head off and start putting some sealant on and sealing this engine up for good. Okay, so you can see here I removed the head and I've slid the cylinder up. I put one of the nuts all the way down as far as it'll go to stop the cylinder coming up too high, because the last thing I want to do is to lift this up too far, let a ring fly, and then have to deal with piston clips again. Not going to do that, that's for sure. So I've raised it up so that I can get to these base rings, because now I'm sealing it up. I want to use some sort of sealant on there to make sure that I don't get any leaks. So a big thank you to Michael De Silva, who actually sent me down some sealants to use on this. You should check him out, Michael De Silva. He does rebuilds on these old 911 engines in Queensland. Check him out on Facebook. Very nice guy, and this is going to help me out quite a bit. He's sent me some Loctite 574 and some Curel T, which are a couple of the things to use on these sealants, and it was going to be, thankfully I got it from him. I've been talking to him online, and it was going to take me a while to wait to order, and I don't want to have to wait, so I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to use a bit of the Curel T on the sealing rings here in between each of the rings and go round. So as I assemble each cylinder, I'm going to raise them up, add some sealant onto all these rings so that it'll all sit quite nicely and hopefully not leak. Alright, so I've gone through, I've actually put a bit of this ARP assembly lube on the threads up here, just so I can get a good torque rating, and I'm going to put a little bit on the nuts that I put on there as well. And just before I put the head on, I just want to show you guys what Neil actually did on this particular engine. He's actually made up, he went through and machined out the face of these so that we actually have a couple of rings that sit into the head and crush. So there's two crush rings. So this forms a much better head gasket basically for these 911 engines, because they never really had a great seal before. So this should do it quite nicely, and as you can also see, the twin plugged heads, so these should hopefully do quite nicely. So I'm going to start assembling this now and torquing everything down, and hopefully I can just go through and do all 6 and it should be pretty smooth sailing. Fingers crossed. All right, one head on, it's all torqued down, so 5 more to go. Ah! Oh, no, I didn't. They're not rings. They're not rings. Oh, my heart was just going 100 miles an hour then. I lifted this cylinder up and it was sort of sticking, and then it slid up really quickly, and thankfully I did put my little stopper on here, and I saw these 2 rings on the bottom here, and I thought the rings had popped out, and I was freaking out and just stressing, and thought I had to pull it off, and actually I don't. They are just the base, they're just the base gaskets. Whew. Oh, I was stressing, I was just looking at them going, no, I don't want to do piston clips again. But no, I didn't. It's safe. Moving on, let's keep going on this side. Another thing I just thought I'd bring up briefly as I'm putting these together is the washers that I'm using. I'm actually using an inset washer. So this washer here, if that will focus, that washer, we've actually machined out the heads. I spent a lot of time doing this back in Los Angeles with Neil, and we've machined out the head so that it actually accepts these washers in there. So it gives a nice hard bite point for the to get the torques nice and accurate, nice and even, and give a good solid base to tighten everything down onto. So just another one of Neil's little upgrades on these engines. So at the moment I'm just going around, I'm putting a little bit of assembly grease on them and getting them in there so they're ready to accept the nuts, and we can torque them down and keep moving. Alright, so all the heads are on the car now, and I'm quite happy. They're all torqued down, it's all good, all together. So now we need to move forward onto the next step, which is the cam towers. Now, I had some issues with the cam towers. When I got my car, I had a 3-journal cam in 4-journal towers, which is a big no-no. So these are my old cams, so this is what I mean by the 3 journals. There's 3 journals here. Now apparently you can put 4-journal cams into 3-journal cam towers, but not the other way around, mostly because there's oil squirters around the journals. And of course, if you've got one that doesn't have a journal in it, it's just gonna lose heaps of oil pressure. So not a great idea. So yeah, my old cams were 3-journal, my new cams are 4-journal. My new cams are insanely expensive, very, very custom cams designed to this engine. They're actually asymmetrical cams, so they open fast and close a bit slower. Very, very trick cams that I've got, and that means I needed the right cam towers, and I didn't have the right cam towers, and it was a bit of messing around trying to find what I needed. Big thanks to Mike at Spider Automobiles in Victoria. He managed to find a set that he had on the shelf and got them to me quick smart, because I was getting a bit desperate, because there's 3-journal, there's 4-journal, there's 49mm, there's 47mm. I needed 4-journal, 47mm cam towers, so something very specific and not super common. So now it's time to actually go through and start cleaning these up, which means there is actually an oil bar that runs through inside this, and I need to drill out the plugs on the end and pull it out and give it a good clean. Okay, so I got the spray bar out of the cam tower. The way I did it is I drilled and tapped the plug that's in the end of it, tapped it, and then I had a ring spanner that I sat on the top that I had sort of to give me some space, and I just tightened down the threaded screw into it, and it pulled the plug out. Then to get the spray bar out, you need to sort of tap it out, and with Neil, he managed to machine up a little plug that fit in the end nicely, and I could sort of tap it through. For this, I didn't have something like that, so what I ended up doing was I took the plug and I just ran it on the sander for a little bit and wore it down so that it's just a nice, a less tight fit in, but it's still big enough to sit over the top of the spray bar, and then just use things to tap that through, screwdriver and stuff, just to tap that through, knock the spray bar out. That's out. One down, one to go. All right, I am over the moon. This is really coming together. The heads are on, the oiling tubes are out. I've got a bit of cleaning to do between now and next week to keep things moving and get the rest of these bits and pieces ready to go. Hopefully, soon we will actually be able to start bolting some cam towers on and doing some camp timing. But until then, come and join us on Patreon. You get to watch these videos a day before everybody else, and it really helps us out. Facebook and Instagram for tips and tricks along the way, and we'll see you on the next one. See you guys.